Friends, welcome. This month in Exploring Your Edge, brought to you by Strengths Edge, we're focusing on the Gallup's Clifton Strengths domain of influencing and how they influence our lives. Folks with influencing strengths take charge and sell the team's ideas to the rest of the world. I want to introduce you to our guest today, Gabriel Babawi. Who you will come to find out has this very special charisma and is really all about making a difference. Gabriel, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So good to have you here. All right.
Thank you.
So could you give us a little background or insight about you and tell us your strengths?
Yeah. So firstly, I grew up homeschooled. Um, yep. So I just graduated high school. I grew up homeschooled. I'm a Christian, and yeah, my parents have always I had a very healthy family, and they've always encouraged me to tap into my strengths in an indirect way. Even when I was younger, before I knew anything about Clifton Strengths, they'd always encourage me to use the gifts God gave me. And so, yeah, so I guess I'll just start listing my strengths.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah, so first, my top strength is competition, and then command, activator, self-assurance, and then significance.
Thank you. So you'll see that all of Gabriel's top 5 are in the influencing domain, which was really was an exciting discovery for us as we did the assessment and started to have a chat. So we'd love to hear more, Gabriel, about your personal strengths discovery and your journey. Can you tell us when you first started to notice and implement your strengths? A little bit about like our discovery together and how you started to notice and implement them.
Yeah. So previously, like certain strengths specifically stick out, but sometimes they take different, like before I started Clifton Strengths, they took different names. Like competition was always competition. Gabriel, you're so competitive. Gabriel, right? All the time. Um, Activator can sometimes be perceived as like impatience, but it also gets things going. But when we started Clifton Strengths and I did a couple, I guess seminars or meetings with you, I started to understand the positive side and see him in positive lights more, or in a positive light more than I had previously, um, which I believe helped me to direct them in a positive way, as opposed to letting a negative attribute of those strengths come out. Um, so yeah, just day to day, like it was nothing too significant, but day to day, I would just notice certain aspects of where I use my strengths. And it started to shape how I acted because I started to understand to a larger degree or to a higher degree what I was good at, um,
Mhm.
and the best way to connect with people, using those specific strengths. So, yeah, yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Just on the day to day, I slowly learned to tap into those strengths a little bit more because there was something I was more aware of.
I love that you were noticing and you were really trying to tap into them. When do you think your strengths started to really flourish? And what was that process like?
So I truly think that I have a lot more evolving and a lot more growing to do in this life. Um, but I don't know. I feel like that's a good question. I don't know that I've reached anywhere close to where I think God can lead me, um, using those strengths. But I do believe that certain things, even when we talk in our meetings, I would bring up things that even in my childhood, like I think that my strengths are very defined, in my personality, and they have been even when I was younger. I've always been an influencer. I always was giving people speeches. I always was bringing people together, inviting everybody I could to my friend groups, etc. So yeah, I think that they've always flourished. And I think with the realization of these strengths, um, I think I think they'll continue to flourish. Yeah.
And I would concur that they've been evident for a very long time. How does playing to your strengths make you feel?
Sorry, one more time.
How does playing to your strengths make you feel when you have the opportunity to use them?
It, I think there's like a calm satisfaction. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like I truly feel um like I mean this is gonna sound a little cliche, but like I am who I'm supposed to be. Like I'm being who I'm supposed to be essentially. Um, and it helps you narrow down what you're good at and what your strengths are. And then when you see that in action, you kind of get like verified, or you get security in the fact that this is who you are and it's beautiful and it's important in the world.
You get to own it.
Yeah,
You
that's right.
get to own it and show up. I love it. So, can you tell us about a time or instances where your strengths really seemed to excel or to really shine and either uplift yourself and or others?
Yeah, so I think just given our history and kind of what we talked about in our meetings, I'm going to bring up like the common example, which was athletics. Obviously, I'm young. I haven't the few challenges that I've faced. Um, a lot of them took place in the athletic field. So I'm going to bring up my basketball team, specifically my senior year, where I did have to take more of a leadership and a more of an influencing role. And so on that team. I mean, all of them came into play. Obviously, it's a competition, it's a competitive sport. So, competition would take place whether it's against another team or whether it's against my own team in practice. Always trying to either improve myself in the team or improve my team by competing against them. Um, there was on my team, there was a severe lack of leadership, specifically at the beginning of the year. And so the ability to learn what my strengths are and to then be able to take command and start guiding and leading the team um, was actually very evident, and something my coach pointed out to me at the end of the season, where command was not just like a bossy attitude, but command in the sense that you're giving a team without direction a little bit more direction with your leadership. And that incorporates activator, obviously. You're getting people up, you're getting people going. It's hard to come to another practice, um, not begrudgingly, I guess. And so to be able to um, uh, amp everybody up, hype everybody up, get them ready for the practice, start them off strong, that took activator. And I feel all this you can't really do without security, without self-assurance. Um, so in this basketball scenario, that confidence, that self-assurance that what you were doing was right, it was what needed to happen, um, and that your coach had your back, all that kind of played into self-assurance, and played in and helped strengthen the other strength. Um, and then lastly, with significance, a lot of people actually see sports programs as something that, okay, you're putting a lot of energy into something that you're probably not going to pursue past your high school career. That's never the way I've thought about anything ever. Um, and so I think significance played a big role, because to go to the lengths that I did, to spend the time I did to cultivate and grow that team, it took a significance. It took me understanding that this is something that's important. This is something that I want to pursue. And so that's how significance played a role in that scenario.
I love you were doing something important of value to you. And it wasn't just the sport, it was developing you as a person and how you interact with others and growing your leadership.
Mhm.
So fabulous. So, Gabriel, um, it's important for all of us to recognize that our strengths don't always play in our favor. Sometimes our strengths can get in the way of our goals or our intentions. Can you think of a time when your strengths acted as a possible roadblock or a hindrance?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So they're all influencing strengths, right? So I'm an influencer essentially, which means that it means I'm connecting with people. That's one of my strong suits. But there are times, specifically, personalities do clash. And there's times where people don't want to be competitive, or where people, they're slower to get started, or they just want to, you know, chill. My family is like a chill vacation kind of family, right? So like um we're not always out doing something. We're not exploring when we go on vacation. Sometimes it's just relax. Um and so
That's hard for you.
it can be, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So there's times where or sometimes people don't want to put such a significance on certain things. Um for example, there'll be times where I just relate um like a certain thing that, let's say, my sibling did to to their future, make it a big deal, like they forgot to make their bed, and I say, oh, you stop making your bed, you stop becoming routine, like I have to make this massive um extrapolation just on the small fact that they forgot to make their bed. Now, sometimes people don't want that. That can be annoying, it can be pushy, it can be bossy. And so yeah, there's times where it goes too far. There has to be a mediation with your strengths. Um, and yeah, I'll continue to grow, and I'll continue to see where I need to dial it back. But yeah, for sure, there's obviously there can be conflict with your strengths. Um, your strengths can become weaknesses if you're not mediating them properly.
So sometimes we overuse them. It's a really comfortable place to be, and it's easy to, from perhaps someone else's perspective, especially, it feels like for them it's more than they might have expected, other than when you're using them together in more proportional amounts, uh, can sometimes get can sometimes get in the way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So when working with others, has there been a strength that another person has exemplified that you've admired or that you really enjoy working with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's hard. So I'm not actually that familiar with all the strengths on Clifton Strengths. But there's like certain attributes that I've seen and I've been around, and that I've cooperated with, that truly stick out to me. And it's something that, in the kind of back of my head, I wish I could grow and I wish I could get better at, and I can. Um, but the ability to organize is one
Hmm.
thing that I'm not very good at. Organization. Um, I'm a little bit scattered-brained and cluttered. And so when I have, for example, my mom, she is very organized, extremely organized. She has a million alarms set for the day. She has a calendar, or like three calendars filled with everything that needs to get done. Um, like I'm getting ready for college, and the to-do list for that just is massive. And so someone to be able to like calm me down and make an organized plan, something that I can like concretely achieve one by one, is very, I mean, it's like a necessity. Like I need to have those type of people around me. Um, so yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it. We'll have to talk a little bit more about how your influencing strengths can serve you a little bit more in that realm. But I love that you've found real value in a gift that your mom has and others around you have that really serve you in all of you getting to accomplish what you're trying to do. It's wonderful. In your experience, Gabriel, what are the environments that have allowed you to shine and to feel fulfilled?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I want to say that I guess it seems a little redundant, but for example, like competitive environments
Mhm.
will obviously produce competition, which is my number one strength. Um, but and they open the door for all the other strengths as well.
Okay.
I want to say that I'm an activator. I'm someone that has a desire to get something done.
Yeah.
I'm a achiever of goals, I guess. I'm goal-oriented person. And so when there's a task at hand, that's typically when my strengths come out.
Okay. So when you're activated and there's a challenge that you
Yeah.
need to meet.
Mhm.
So on the flip side of that, what type of environments tend to leave you feeling a little disconnected or closed off from your strengths?
Yeah, those are the one maybe like when it's a more relaxed environment. Um, I guess converse to the answer for the last question. It just essentially when there's not a task at hand, even when me and my friends don't typically have like even if I'm hanging out with friends and we don't really have like a goal that we tangibly want to achieve, it does yeah, I have noticed that I am a little more closed off or I'm just not as present in those situations because, you know, yeah, I just don't feel like my skills apply as much, I guess, or my strengths apply. But yeah,
So
that's actually true because like most of my friends, like even when I was younger, we'd always have, even if they were obnoxious goals or something that, is not necessarily helpful to society. Like, yeah, I don't know, building a fort or something like that.
okay,
We, I was always, my strengths and were always more applicable and I was always more present when we had something that we wanted to achieve.
got it. Something to accomplish, something to um and even there where there's a challenge where there's a little bit of competition, but if it's a super I remember you sharing one time if it's a super easy game or someone's really not trying, then
Mhm.
you just kind of check out
Yeah.
like why am
Oh,
I
yeah.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not interesting at all. Yeah, I don't, I really don't enjoy like if I go play pickup and it's
Uh-huh.
kind of just one of those sloppy games where people aren't trying. I don't
Yeah.
enjoy it. I'd rather be anywhere else. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So at in our work and at Strengths Edge, we know that strengths go with you everywhere. And it's really important to not only focus on strengths in relation to, well, I know you're just starting your college career. Um, but it's also and you're focused right now on your academics and career oriented things. But they and strengths you shared with us a little bit about sports, you share a little bit about your family. Uh, is there more that you can share with us about areas in your personal life where you see your strengths showing up?
Yeah. Um, yeah. So do you mean like personal life, meaning aside from sports and family, or personal life as in more so when I'm alone?
I would say more so when you're alone. We covered a little bit of family and sports, but if there's more there that you want to build on, that please.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for one, even when I'm alone, there's still a competition to be had. I truly,
Cool.
but yeah. So, in multiple ways. Like, for example, yeah, yeah, in multiple ways.
Okay.
One would be like if I'm competing with myself. There's something that I want to improve about myself. It's competition for me. At least that's the way I see it when I'm trying to get better. Or I'm trying to do better in a certain thing. But also, when I'm alone, I still have to prepare myself for the times when I'm not. Whether that be like training for track or training for basketball, or whether that be studying for a test so that I can, do well against all my peers or whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
genuinely how I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Um, and that takes activation. It takes you almost have to command yourself. Like yeah, sometimes it's hard, and to get up and do something. It actually is very hard, and so you have to tell yourself like, get up, get started. It takes a bit of command and activation. Um, yeah, and I feel like one thing that I've noticed is that it's very hard to accomplish a goal that you don't have hope for accomplishing, or at least it's hard to make strides to accomplish a goal that you don't have hope in accomplishing.
Okay.
And that takes a little bit of self-assurance to know that if I do this and this and this,
Mhm.
I can achieve that goal. Um, yeah, and all that, and all of it takes a significance as well. So yeah, for sure. In, in my day-to-day life, in my personal life, these strengths show up very frequently. For me, I need those strengths to just to function as a person. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for expanding on that and for sharing the very personal, aside from your interactions with others, how your strengths impact you in your day to day as you move through your day. All right, and what motivates you to get up and do the things.
Yeah.
So uh, through your recent journey, Gabriel, of finding your strengths and playing to them. And it sounds like even your journey started at much younger because they were evident from a very young age. Um, but more recently, when we started to have our conversations, was there anything that surprised you or that you didn't realize about yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, that is difficult because like you said, I always had these strengths, and they were pretty apparent and visible even throughout my
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that is a difficult question. I yeah, I even thinking about it a little bit, there's nothing that pops out to me right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And were
It,
there,
mm.
no, well, we'll follow that up then with, was there anything unexpected um, in general about strengths that you found interesting?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, so it actually, one of the things I found interesting was that when we originally did strengths, um, I had done the test. We had started the whole process. And then the college that I'm going to, I found out later,
Yeah.
used Clifton Strengths in their career services, as in the career services, the platform at the college, the um the system that helps you find a job in the future, that sets you up for the rest of your life, uses the Strengths Finder program. Um, so I guess that surprised me a lot because I mean their career services is fourth in the nation. So like Grove City College's career services is one of the best, and they put such an importance on who you are as an individual to find out where you'd be best suited for the rest of your life. So that surprised me because then I put a much greater significance on strengths itself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's fabulous that they do that, and I, I can't wait to hear more about your journey and your experience, and the fact that they're putting this emphasis on you, uh, it not just putting you in a box, but how can we serve you? How can we help you amplify the gifts that you have and bring the best of you into the world?
right.
So I'm can't wait to hear more, Gabriel, and super excited for you.
Thank you.
So to wrap up our interview, what would you like people watching or reading to know about influencers in general?
Yeah. I think that people can get caught up in the control aspect that influencers seem to have. Um, um, yeah, and I think most influencers, I mean, at least me, I can only speak for myself, right? So when I influence, it's normally for the betterment of not just myself, but the environment. Like I do like it is a selfless approach, even though influencing is I don't know, I don't know if this is for lack of a better word, like a spotlight kind of position. Like you're taking control, you're getting things started. Um, and so even though that can be, I don't know, it can come off as a little, what's the word? Hmm. Yeah, it can come off as attention desiring, etc. But but at least me specifically, truly have a desire to enhance the environment, not just for themselves, but for the team or for the family or for the friend group, etc. So yeah, yeah, I think that it's a very necessary role in society.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I love how you show up and you serve. And friends, I promised you charisma and someone who's here to make a difference. Here we go. Gabriel, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you about your strengths journey. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to share your personal journey with our audience and for giving us a really thoughtful perspective on your amazing influencing strengths.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, friends, enjoy the rest of your day. And Gabriel, we'll see you soon. Thank you.